Okay, today's a review day, and because we've covered so many of these topics already, I'm just going to do a couple things. I was asked about this one from the homework. It was problem 3D, and it gave this set of kind of like directions on what to do to the function, and then it said you have this parent function. What we want you to do in that kind of a problem is to just rewrite the function, except leave some room around that x squared to do these changes to it. So that still just says x squared right now. Now I'm going to add the stuff it says. It says to do minus 4. That minus 4 could just as easily been at the end as a minus 4 like that. It makes it easier to understand. That just means move down 4. So there, I moved it down 4. Now I've got to take care of this part. That's a negative in front of it. There's a negative in front of my function. This is all inside the function because it comes right after the f. That all goes in there. Okay, so I'm going to make that be negative x plus 1. I was also asked, do those parentheses matter? Yes. If you don't have the parentheses, it'll look like this, and that is definitely different, right? You want parentheses when you're having a negative on the inside of your function. All right, I'm going to pause for a second and see if there's other questions that kids have about the review for today. Okay, the next question I've been asked is about problem number 5. That's where they give you a function ahead of time. They give you a picture, and you're supposed to write the equation for it. And let me get the picture copied down right here. All right, so the line in question goes through these points. Now, I do want to remind you that on that top 20 thing, I told you how to find the equation for a line that goes through any 2 points. Remember that deal? You go like this, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And that's where if I know 2 points, I can stick in one of those 2 points into this equation and find the line and everything. But there is an easier way if it's just a nice line. I go like this. To find the equation for a straight line, all I need to do is say y equals mx plus b, because I know the y-intercept. The y-intercept is negative 1. You remember this way? Y equals the slope, whatever it is, goes right here, and the y-intercept goes right there. So what's the y-intercept here? Where does it touch the y? Yep, right there. So all I have to say is minus 1. And then what's the slope of this thing? And the slope I'm going to put right here. And then I'll have my equation all done. So what's the slope? Well, the slope is the rise over the run, right? So the rise is actually fall 2, which is negative 2, and run 1. Okay, what I'm going to do here? Rise over run. What was the rise again? Yes, minus 2 over. The runs are always positive. If you always go from left to right, that'll always be positive 1. There we go. Final answer. Negative 2 divided by 1, of course, is just negative 2. Negative 2x minus 1. So you can find the equation for any line by going back to that whole slope-intercept deal. That's a very good question. A lot of people will not get that one right because they aren't listening right now, and that's fine. But that was problem number 5, how to do the straight line in there. Okay, are there any others that bother you? Like, I'm not sure I'm doing this right. Good? Yes, sir.
So after the equation and the description, so what do you want with the description?
I would call this a straight line. Yep, it's not a parabola. Oh, if it says parabola already, then the description they'd probably want is how did it get moved compared to the parent one. All right, so how did this one get moved compared to the parent one? It's not a great question because we haven't done much with the parent line. But the parent line is y equals x, and it goes like this. Oops, I missed. Try again. It goes through these spots, and there, and there. That's much better. Okay, there's the parent line. So this parent line got reflected left, right, and the slope changed. Don't worry about that. That's really unusual. I would expect you to be able to say, like, this parabola here has been flipped up, down, or a reflect over the x-axis, and I'd expect you to be able to say it got moved 6 to the left. That kind of thing, I'd understand. We aren't going to ask you about a straight line. How did the straight line get changed from the parent? That's a little weird. But you should be able to write me the equation for any straight line. Good question. Good questions. Are there any other ones you have questions about on today's review assignment? You sure? I'd like to do one more for the video. Anything else that's bothering you? Yes.
When there's two like negatives, does it matter which one you reflect first?
Good question. When there's two negatives, does it matter which one you do first? So let's say I had this. Now, first thing is, I'm glad you know that the negatives, the reflections, come first. You get all those reflections done first, and then you can move the thing. Okay? Now, technically, this one gets done first, and then that one gets done second, and then this gets done last. But we're not going to be testing you too heavily on, except you need to know this. You have to have your reflections done before your others. Okay, so now, does it matter which one has to be done first between these two? Start on the inside. If you always start on the inside, that's a better strategy than anything else I can give you for that. So if you have two reflections to do this one first. Does it really have to be done first? Actually, it doesn't. But it's best to remember to do math problems from the inside out, and this keeps with that same strategy. So if I was picking between these two, that'd be the very first thing I would do because it's on the inside. Do that reflection first, which is a left-right reflection, a reflection across the y-axis. And then this guy gets done next, and that's a reflection up, down, or across the x-axis. And the last thing you do is your moves, like your slides. And this one gets slid up 5 at the end. Okay, those are all good points. Thank you for asking those questions. And that's all I have for the videos for today. If you want to really review for this thing, you can look back at the last 3 or 4 videos that I've recorded, and that'd be good review.